Hello? Taskbar randomly at the bottom. Here we go again. What's the grouse, Gina? What's the grouse? Alright, we need to like... It is a bird, yeah. That's Giselle Brett. That's Asa Shin. So we press Gina on everything. But everything is her? Oh, she's dead. That's who I think. She was involved though in the Reaper grip. Like, she was the one actually doing the killing, but she's dead. She was she was a victim in an earlier adventure. She was like stabbed in a beach house or something. Right, let's have a look at our evidence now. The armband, the Red-Headed League, the photograph of Mr. Vigil, the letter of introduction, Mr. Vigil's dismissal notice, the photograph of Mrs. Vigil, the candelabrum, the policeman figure, the revolver, the red hairpiece, Gregson's photo of him and the Van Dijk brothers, the autopsy report, the plan of the floor, crime scene, the notice board, the firecrackers, the photo of Gregson, the pocket watch, Gregson's ID, the photo of us, the Asuki papers, the trunk, Clint's report, the passport, and the Iris's charm. That's our full evidence, I think. We press this one anymore now we know the name of the club? I don't think so. I don't think we get anything more out of this. Yeah. Hold it! What did they say about the cops not been onto it yet? Oh, Gina just said she doesn't know. She's just an apprentice. Yep. And the witnesses saw the Reaper. Okay. One sec, actually. Too warm. I've returned. So they saw the accused being admitted to the room in question as a guest. We'd let into the club maybe. Presumably then there were also eyewitnesses who can testify that Gregson was there, but no one can. So the victim wasn't seen. This is a tricky one. Lord Van Zieks told us he was investigating Inspector Gregson, but he never once mentioned that he met the inspector the day before the incident. You don't think Lord Van Zieks could have been lying to us, do you? He said, that's not the only way to explain this. If everything Lord Van Zieks has told us is true, then there must be a mistake in this testimony somewhere. Is it something to do with this? Like, the all-yard detectives are supposed to follow orders and investigate what they're told? I don't think so. Not something to do with the passport, maybe that we telling he was going to France. The witnesses what saw the Reaper at the place too. We just have nothing that places Van Zieks anywhere else. We just don't have an alibi for him. We pushed the passport on this one? I don't think so.
Objection.
Nah, not anything. This really does require like a actual big brain thinking and try and figure out what is the issue here? Like what's the extra information we can turn up? All yard detectives are supposed to follow orders and investigate what they're told. Can we present the ID?
Objection.
No. Trying to present the ID, like Gregson didn't do that, you know, but anything else in this trunk apart from the scratch and the passport inside and the blood on the side as well? The latches are very satisfying. Random shite. Oh, what the fuck? Something lodged in it? You see that? There's something stuck in the side of the trunk here. It's glinting. Oh, what's that? Looks like a fragment of metal of some sort. But it's wedged in so tightly I can't remove it. Don't cut yourself. You better leave it, I think. Oh, no. Fuck. Try everything. It feels cheap, but it also takes so long, you know? Well, there's a shard of metal there as well, so... What am I missing, you know? The blood we know about as well. I just don't know what evidence we have that we can present against anything Gene is saying. It's definitely not grease from fish and chips. Definitely not. Nothing in these pockets, no.
Hold it!
I think if we press this one, it's just Gina just saying like she doesn't follow orders because she's like special or something like that. Yeah. Just talking about how she did her own investigations. A little search of the boss's office turned up a notebook that had a lot of secret meetings in it. Apparently the smuggled goods deal was going to happen at a gentleman's club called the Grouse. The fact that this has popped up means this is the one we want to push, but I don't know what.
Objection.
Fuck. In depth. That was actually Twitchy Finger. I don't understand what we can push about this, you know. Can we tug the ears of the doll? But I need the luck now. I don't want to wait until later to Sato. One additional person as well on that passport. Blackbird line. Hmm. Like, it's not as if Van Zieks was in this photo or anything, you know? They have the Red-Headed League thing on it, yeah. Can we maybe push the Red-Headed League thing on Gina's thing where she's saying that all the inspectors do what they're told, maybe?
Objection.
Okay, the paper didn't work. Maybe the, maybe the board? Wow, this is tricky, huh? This is the first time in a while we've been, like, proper stuck. I'll post the crazy board here.
Objection.
No, not it either. What am I missing? It's going to be an episode of just me stuck. Huh. Don't think we can get anything from Gregson and the lads. Mistake? A clue that Gina hasn't noticed. Hi, Pearl. Oh, I'm out of focus again. Oh. I've gone blurry. There we go. We're still here, Pearl. You haven't missed anything. I'm trying to fucking figure out what the... how do you progress from here? I'll get my cursor away from there. Farrell, those pictures you posted of Sadie were extremely cute too. Especially that first one. A little smile, huh? That goddamn smile, huh? That's where it all started, too. I need to re-highlight the metal shard, or... just so it's re-examined again in this new save. That doesn't really do anything for us now. Dun 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 dun. Bum 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 bum. Yeah, so Gina is saying, so at the end of Gina's thing, she says that witnesses saw Van Zieks in the Grouse Club. And if we ask her, so they also saw Gregson, Kazuma says that no one has confirmed that Gregson was seen. So, yeah, Rinosuke and Susato chat and be like, right, so was Van Zieks lying? Like, he never told us he actually encountered Gregson on the night before he was killed. Like, so was he lying? And then Rinosuke is like, that's not the only explanation. The other option is that there's a mistake in the testimony, and there's a clue that Gina herself hasn't realized. And Sasato's like, oh, so there's more information to get out of this, and Rinosuke's like, yeah. But the problem is I've pressed everything Gina has said, which means the only other way to get information is to present evidence, but I don't know what. Because her statements are so, like, vague and just, like, matter of fact, you know? Like, she says that, like, you know, yard detectives are supposed to follow orders and investigate what they're told. But she searched Gregson's office and turned up the notebook that had secret meetings in it. We can't get the notebook, it's not evidence. There's a smuggled goods deal at the Grouse. This was a newly appended sentence. So I feel like we should be presenting something against this. But it's just like, it's a smuggled goods deal and it's a gentleman's club called the Grouse. We have nothing, no information about that in our evidence. So I don't know what we could even present against it. And then she says it was a big job, but the cops weren't onto it yet. There's nothing we can really say against that. And then that the witnesses saw Van Zieks. And we have nothing to, like, say that he wasn't there. So I don't know what I'm meant to present. I'm stuck. I'm, like, looking through my evidence over and over again. I'm like, what am I missing? Like, I tried presenting some things against the statement that, you know, the inspectors are meant to investigate what they're told. Like, I tried presenting the newspaper article on the Red-Headed League as, like, maybe here, like, hey, Gregson wasn't doing what he was told. Didn't work. I tried presenting his crazy board of all the Reaper stuff. Didn't work. We have no alibi for Van Zieks. So Gregson wasn't there. Seemingly. There's no witnesses that can confirm he was there at the club. But we believe that Van Zieks was investigating him anyway, so... Anything inside this? I don't think so. Not like a label or anything like that? No. He was going to France, yeah. But like... presenting that against the... It seems weird to present that against a statement about, like, the... Like, against... Van Zieks being in here? I don't know. Apparently a smuggled goods deal was going to happen at a gentleman's club called the Grouse. It was a big job, but the cops weren't onto it yet. But they saw... Witnesses saw Van Zieks there. Like, yeah, like it doesn't add up, you know. It doesn't seem to be relevant. Like, we don't really have any evidence to do with a goods deal or with the Grouse. I don't know what we can do with this statement. It's just like, okay, I guess so. What matters most is there's witnesses what saw the Reaper at the place. It's like, it's just all so vague. We don't have the book. We can't reference anything she's saying. I think Gina's also, like, taking this stuff off the top of her head. And also, the Grouse could have been wrong. Right? Gina was, like, reading, or she might have read it wrong. But we don't have anything that's, like, close to that, you know?
Objection.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so, they used to be very close. Gregson was very close to Van Zieks and his brother, Clint. We have the photo of them when they were younger. This photo. So they were quite close. Yeah, Van Zieks suspected that Gregson was involved in the whole Reaper group. So he was like keeping an eye on him, and that's probably why Van Zieks was at the murder scene. It seems like Gregson was part of it. He was like the information guy, really. But yeah, he was friends with he was like a big brother, I think, also to Gregson, to Van Zieks. Baroque. And our evidence, like, slots are fully complete now. And Zieks wasn't going to France to follow him. Not that we know. So Gregson's passport has a +1 on it, but the baguette, omelette de fromage. We have this doll from Iris as well. She told us to tug its ears if I run out of options in the trial today. I'm fucking running out of options all the time, but I can't pull it apparently until a certain situation. Like, it doesn't let you pull it. So, like, I was thinking maybe was Van Zieks in this photo? Like when Miko Taba and Judge Jigoku arrived, and that would give him an alibi, but nope. Unless he's like masquerading as one of them, so. Yeah, it says permission for the applicant and 1 additional person to travel. Is the grouse friend? Because we're thinking that. So it seems that Gregson wasn't killed in the getaway. It seems that Gregson wasn't killed in that room, and he was also killed a day before he was found. And so there's a theory that he was like put into like a fridge, you know, like he was frozen. But all the disputes about that are like there are no freezer units big enough in London to store him. So I was like, maybe he was being stored on a boat back from France or something like that, or a boat to France or something like that. But I don't know. I don't think like the grouse is like a French bird or anything like that, you know. And also, we have no information right now on when this deal was meant to take place. I think it was the night before, like the day before his body was found, but we have no way of finding that information anymore. Like, that information is lost. It might be in the log, but I've since overwrote it. Club Nick, my thing, but I am kind of curious. They're not places where forward shouldn't be accepted. Gina wants to go in like the fucking character from BoJack Horseman. That's just like the Waynes and a coat together. She wants to go in and find some marks, that's right. This guy's also a drink brand, is it? I don't know. It is, huh? Okay. Scotch whiskey, I see. Yeah, see, it's just like they reckon that's where the black market deal was going to take place, but there's no information we can get out of that. And we only got this piece of information that Gina has now appended to her statement because we asked her to tell us the name of the club. So the fact we actually have this information here to push and press against makes me assume that it's this. You have David on my backseat, okay. Wait until I big brain it. I feel like I was missing something.
Objection.
Oops. Oh. I don't think I presented the bunny. I think I presented the chest. Look at this, Your Honor. the rabbit. What's your thought, Farrell, on in very vague terms then? Uh-oh. On the spot time. Apparently they smuggle goods. And who thought it wasn't Zeke's? Or that it was like, he also had a body double? Or like, I mean... I'm the same with you right now. You're sus about the following and the +1. Well, I think Van Zieks himself told us he was following him. That's why he was at the crime scene. Because it like led him there, and that's where that was basically like Gregson's little like base of operations. Yeah, so here's the end part. So yeah, Lord Van Zieks told us that he was investigating Inspector Gregson, but he never once mentioned that he met the inspector the day before the incident. Sato says, you don't think Lord Van Zieks could have been lying to us? And Renosuke says, that's not the only way to explain this. If everything Lord Van Zieks has told us is true, there must be a mistake in the testimony. There are details we've yet to uncover. And he says, exactly. A clue, perhaps, that even Gina hasn't noticed. Excuse me, sorry. It's like, is Daily Vigil getting fucking double duty, hey? Masquerading as two different people? I don't think so. Shot in the chest at close range from the front. Scorch marks at point of entry. The bullet exited the body from behind. The caliber of the gun used matches that of standard issue firearms for members of the judiciary. Okay, so yeah, Gina's saying doesn't end immediately saying, but even in spite of that, Gregson was having secret meetings that he shouldn't have been doing. Smuggled goods deal was going to happen at a gentleman's club called the... See, the problem is now, I can't remember the wider context of why that was even brought up. It's probably somewhere back here, yeah, but we've just been going over and over these points so much that it's just like... It's lost, you know? It only goes back so far. I don't want to look anything up to remind myself of what was said, because knowing me, I'll see spoilers. I'm trying to remember why it was even said. I'm pretty sure it was where they were the night before. I think that's what it was. I'm trying to remember what was said about this deal and the grouse. So whenever we pressed Gina about the book, she brought up this like meeting, or this deal at the grouse, and there was extra information she gave. I think when it took place, maybe it was the day before Gregson's body was found, and we had to then like make a dialogue choice then to ask Gina to tell us the name of the club, and then that give us this new dialogue option here. But it's also removed all the information that we were previously seeing, so I can't see it anymore. I just can't remember what was said. It's probably not massively important. I'm just trying to remember, like, in the grand scheme of the story, when did this smuggled goods deal at the Grouse take place? I think it was the night before. Like before Gregson's body was found.
Objection.
Chip. There's just not a lot we can push here. Bum 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 bum. This is gonna be the full stream today, isn't it? Just me stuck on this, trying to figure it out. Oh yeah, and there's also the thing that Gina might have read it wrong. Like, it might not be the Grouse after all. Was that the Grouse, then what? No. Grouse. The Grouse. Apparently it says the initials on it somewhere, but I've never seen them. Maybe they're not on the actual model. TG. I don't know what the fuck's going on with this, like... the slash on it. I just can't remember what the context of it was, you know? Bum, 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 bum. Examine all my items. Some sort of steamship ticket. The Grouse was the ship. Uh-oh. Smuggling transaction, police didn't know about yet. Must have been huge, okay. I need her on the... called at Dunkirk on the north coast of France for a night before finally arriving in Dover. So the SS Buria was the ship that we arrived in. So, the smuggled good... So this smuggled good operation was on the ship from France that Susato's dad and Judge Jigoku arrived on then?
Objection.
Let's go. I've read about these clubs that exist here in Britain. As I understand it, they are places where well-to-do gentlemen socialise with friends and colleagues. Don't imagine for a second that a foreign student like you would be admitted. Seriously, is your mirror cracked or something? Do we know for sure that the contraband dealings were definitely happening at a club called the Grouse? The police are currently looking for evidence, but haven't found anything definitive yet. And I'm sorry to say that they probably won't. What do you mean by that? I mean that the place Inspector Gregson was secretly going to visit on the 31st of October may not have been a gentleman's club at all. You're showing a very irreverent attitude towards our country's police force there, Counsel. If it wasn't a gentleman's club, then what was it? A steamship. You think it's a ship? I have the evidence to prove it. Here. Let me see that. This dark-suited young man is not in the least bit untrustworthy. The other side, my lord. Be more specific next time. Ah, this would appear to be a ticket for passage upon a steamship, yes. The SS Grouse.
Objection.
So there's a steamship named the Grouse that happens to share a name with the club. But I'm afraid to say, there's a flaw in your logic there. How? Look at the ticket. Notice the date of arrival in port. The ship arrived at the port of Dover on the 1st of November. Ah! The day in which the sound like a gunshot was heard on Fresno Street. In other words, on the day in question here, 31st of October, when the victim was on his clandestine mission. That ship hadn't yet docked on British shores. That would certainly make an undercover investigation somewhat challenging.
Objection.
The fact that the steamship hadn't yet reached Britain substantiates the defence's assertion that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on the day in question. Then show your evidence for that assertion. Very well. It's probably the passport, right? In that case, counsel for the defense, present your evidence to the court now. Evidence that substantiates your claim that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on the 31st of October. Passport.
Take that.
What's this? A passport for travel issued to the victim? Dated 31st of October. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that just one day before the inspector's body was discovered, there's a distinct possibility he wasn't even in the country. Yep. Order, order! This document is for passage to France. It does appear to have been officially authorized. The day before the SS Grouse arrived at Dover, it docked on the northern coast of France for a night. I was at Dunkirk, right? According to my father, he was on board at the port of Dunkirk. Dunkirk, France. What could possibly have taken the victim there? I'm impressed, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I certainly didn't expect you to get your hands on that passport. What? You mean you knew about this? The prosecution's strategy for this trial has been laid down by the Crown Prosecution Office. On the day before the incident, the victim was investigating contraband dealings at a London club. That's the outcome of Scotland Yard's investigations and the line the prosecution has been asked to follow. But, personally, I don't agree. I think the prosecutor's office is trying to hide something. What? And now that you've expertly disproven their assertion, I intend to reveal what I believe that something to be. What are you playing at, Prosecutor Asogi? A courtroom is a forum for the truth, my lord. Which is why it's my duty to present all the facts, without exception. Let me guess. This was your intention from the outset, wasn't it? The reason Inspector Gregson secretly made his way to the steamship docked in France on the day in question was to carry out a mission for the Reaper. One of the victims was in France? Fucking hell, they're trying to, like, make it so that not even people who get out of the country are safe then? Yeesh. The Reaper? Order, order. What on earth are you saying, Council? Well, we have the nervous guy, right? The Japanese guy from one of the earlier games, the Sosuke Natsume, right? And he's back in Japan, so they all believe he's safe from the Reaper's curse. But if they're now sending their agents to France, then it's a yeesh. So. The prosecution made an assertion in court yesterday. Inspector Gregson was investigating the identity of the Reaper. When he discovered the location of the man's secret hideout, he was killed, as I'm sure everyone can imagine, by the Reaper's hand. But in reality, the truth is the opposite of that. What? Inspector Gregson wasn't investigating the Reaper at all. He was, in fact, acting for the Reaper. So, you're saying the mission he was undertaking was a fucking assassination or something? Obviously. An assassination, yeah. Barak Van Zieks never carried out any of the actual killings. Whenever the Reaper's victims lost their lives, he always had a cast iron alibi. Which tells us that he must have had an accomplice. And you claim that was Inspector Gregson. What the hell do you think you're saying, eh? My boss would never have done nothing like that. Well, so far as we know, the Reaper organization, like, the actual person doing the killings was Asa Shin. But she's been dead now, so is Gregson taking over that role? And yet, when you consider all the facts, it all makes perfect sense. I think, is Kazuma still trying to implicate Barak? Because it seems he's outside of it. No, it can't be. We also arrived at the same conclusion, didn't we? That Inspector Gregson was operating as the Reaper. Even so, there's no way that the person giving him his orders was Lord Van Zieks. No, the true Reaper is somebody else. Barak Van Zieks is not the Reaper. A predictable response from someone who's advocating for the man. Do you reckon... So if we got a member of Scotland Yard and all, do you reckon it goes all the way to the top? Do you reckon Lord Strongheart's involved? He's always given kind of dodgy vibes, huh? Like the person in charge of the justice in England is involved in it. And even if it's true that Gregson was operating as an agent of the Reaper, the suggestion that he went aboard the SS Groyce on an assassination mission doesn't follow at all. Oh, you have some solid reason for doubting the assertion, do you, Counsel? Absolutely. It's very simple. On the day in question, nobody was killed aboard that steamship. Professor Mikutaba and Judge Jigoku were on that very ship. If someone had been assassinated, I'm certain we would have heard about it. What's so funny? You're right, of course. No suspicious deaths were reported on board the ship. But I think perhaps you've missed the point. That's precisely why Inspector Gregson himself lost his life. What? Gregson did board the SS Grouse that night with the intention of dispatching his mark. The mark got him first. But his mission ended in failure. Failure? It seems that the defense hasn't yet grasped a very important detail here. What are you talking about? What detail? Inspector Gino Lestrade. Eh? What? The victim's notebook that you read an excerpt from earlier. It doesn't contain details of secret investigations at all. It describes 10 years of assassination plots to be carried out by the Reaper of the Bailey. You're lying. Even if all them bludgers what got taken out at it coming, the boss weren't the Reaper. Poor Gina. There's no question that Tobias Gregson was heavily involved in the Reaper's activities. You may just be an apprentice, but if you've spent any time at Scotland Yard, you must have heard rumours. I ain't heard nothing, and I don't believe a word of it. Then testify again. As a representative of Scotland Yard, consider it your chance to defend your boss. I don't... I concur. The witness will give a new formal testimony. Mr. Lestrade, you will tell the court everything you know about Inspector Gregson's secret notebook. Regina, how she get put on the spot, so. The secret notebook. The Reaper's notebook, huh? Yeah, this notebook does have a lot of stuff about what the Reaper got up to these past 10 years. Names of victims, dates and places and stuff. And the last entry there was 31st of October. It said grouse for the place on the date. And the name of the mark. There was a note about him being a criminal what got away from the Reaper in court 10 years ago or something. But honest, the boss didn't do none of it. He was just investigating the Reaper, that's all. What was the name? What was the name of the person who got away 10 years ago? Keep personal opinion out of your testimony, witness. We require only established fact here. 10 years is very coincidental, right? It wasn't 10 years the professor case? This must be so hard for... You can't deny it now, surely, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. What can't I deny? The notebook contained the name of the final mark and the location where the assassination would take place. That's information that the victim could only have known if he was working with the Reaper. Ah! So, who was to be this final mark? Go ahead, Inspector Lestrade. Read the name for the court. Oh dear. The name that's written alongside the entry that mentions the grouse on 31st of October. Hey, how do you read this then? Oh, that's right, she did say it wasn't an English name, didn't she? Is it Judge Jigoku, or is it like... Couldn't be Genshin Asogi, could it? Reading's still not as strong, so... That ain't the problem, alright, Odo? Alright, it's not an English name. It's a funny name, it ain't English. It's hard to read. So it's someone from overseas. Let me have a bash at it. Fucking... Seishiro? Do you know a Seishiro? Someone from Japan, obviously. It's Judge Jigoku! Oh no! Yep. I was like, I knew the name. We have a Seishiro. Fuck. Seishiro, is it? Yeah, Seishiro. Jigoku, maybe? What? It can't be. Seishiro Jigoku. But that's Judge Jigoku. Seishiro Jigoku. Certainly not an English name, you're right. But that can't be right. I know Judge Jigoku. I saw him the day before yesterday here in London. I know for a fact that the man hasn't been assassinated. As I said, the Reaper failed. Oh. Gregson missed his chance to kill his mark and return to British shores. But the Reaper wouldn't tolerate the mistake. So he killed the inspector. Personally. God. The Reaper, of course, being the accused. Barak van Zieks. It's an undeniable logical argument. Kazuma. You planned for the trial to go this way all along, didn't you?
Hold it!
That Barak? Yeah. He's back. Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice whilst I stand accused of murder. Lord Van Zieks. The accused has no right to speak uninvited in court. You will return to the dock. It's interesting because this final trial is like the culmination of basically both games. Like, it's really interesting how it's been done. Like, it's like plots that have been like gone through both of them. So I say nothing of whether or not I'm the Reaper. That's the task of this court to decide. But there is one thing I can say unequivocally. That girl is no detective. Eh? What? Nah, that's right, I ain't. I'm an inspector. Repeating rumors heard around the yard. Reading entries from a notebook of unconfirmed origin. That's not testimony, it's practically a script. No doubt the rest of this trial will go exactly as you clearly planned. Your hatred of me is understandable. In your mind, I'm sure I am the Reaper, who sent your father to the gallows all those years ago. But you're in danger of becoming a far more sinister Reaper yourself, by attempting to have me condemned with this feeble excuse for testimony. What did you say? Mr. Naruhodo, this is our chance. My lord, the defense requests that the defendant be allowed to speak. He may be privy to important information relating to the testimony just given by the witness. Very well. I'll make an exception and grant the request. The defendant may remain in the witness stand for the cross-examination. Then allow me to toast the court's impartiality. Don't raise your glass in my direction, sir. Counsel for the defense, begin the cross-examination immediately. At once, my lord. Okay, so we need to watch Van Zieks now because he's going to react to things Gina says. That's why he's there. Alright, so this notebook does have a load of stuff about what the Reaper got up to these past 10 years.
Hold it!
In other words, it shows that Gregson was basically acting as the Reaper. Not you and all, that ain't the only explanation, is it? He could have been investigating the Reaper in secret, and that notebook said what he found out. If I may. When originally people began referring to me as the Reaper, I didn't object. I believed the power to intimidate London's criminal classes into compliance with the law to be beneficial. But you carried out your own investigations into the true identity of the Reaper, didn't you? Yes. And those investigations proved conclusively that Gregson was one arm of the Reaper. One arm? What are you on about? The Reaper's victims were all extremely shrewd criminals at the top of their game. There's simply no way one person could have taken them on alone. The Reaper is an organization. Yep. The Templars. With you its head. I had spies at the yard keeping me abreast of Gregson's movements, letting me know when he was elsewhere. So I've been able to check the most recent entry in his book. I knew the location. You knew it said Grice? No worries, bro. Believing it to be a reference to the Gentleman's Club, I went there on the day in question to investigate. Alone. Ah, so that explains why several members of the club claimed to have seen you there. But of course, the inspector was not there. Because at the time he was making his way to the steamship docked at the northern coast of France. As shown by the passport found in the victim's metal trunk. Very well then. Back to your testimony about the contents of this notebook. Fine. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? You seemed a little shocked by something a moment ago. Oh, no, it's alright. I'm overthinking this, aren't I? Names of victims, dates and places and stuff, and the last entry in there was 31st of October.
Hold it!
Names of victims, dates, places and stuff? What in particular? Well, beside the victims' names, this other name kept cropping up. What other name was that? Was it Asa Shin, wasn't it? It's the one I told you yesterday, the same name, written over and over again. You mean Asa Shin? Yeah, that's the one. She's a friend of yours or something, is she? Were you even listening yesterday? Asa Shin. The assassin. What? Like, a killer, you mean? Gregson was the tactician, the one who came up with the plan of attack. He investigated the marks thoroughly, finding out when they would be vulnerable and who to use to get at them. But the person actually executing his plans was someone else, you're saying? If that's true, then the Reaper does indeed start to sound like an organized group of vigilantes. And perhaps what it said on the passport document. Permission for the applicant and one additional person to travel. Could that additional person have been clearly the assassin who was meant to take Seishiro Jigoku's life? Gina, can you confirm that? Against the final entry that listed Grice and Seishiro Jigoku, what name was written? Oh, well, that's the only entry that didn't have a name next to it, as it happens. What? Actually, she's dead, Rinosuke. She's already dead. It just had like a question mark or something there, I think. In other words, Gregson himself didn't know the identity of the assassin in that case. But Gregson was the one making the plans, was he not? Oh, how infuriating. A nameless assassin. It said Grice for the place and that date, and then the name of the mark.
Hold it!
Okay. And you're saying that the mark listed was Seishiro Jigoku? That's what it said. Funny name if you ask me. And I thought your name was odd. So pleased you have lost my crown there. Mr. Jigoku is the presiding judge of Japan's Supreme Court of Judicature. I remember the man. He came to our country as a visiting student 16 years ago. Studying international law and diplomacy under your tutelage, Lord Strongheart. That bearded young fellow was a very able man, I must say. Lord Strongheart was Judge Jigoku's mentor. If I'm not mistaken, he returned to Japan 10 years ago now. 10 years ago. After that fateful case. After the professor case, yeah. Precisely. In the aftermath of the professor case, his repatriation was organized immediately. That's right, all the Japanese people left, that's right. That's when Professor Mikutaba went home as well. It's a mystery why such a man would be listed in the inspector's notebook. I didn't think it was possible, but the mutineers got even worse now. Maybe I'll just keep talking. Or what do you say next? There was a note about him being a criminal who got away from the Reaper in court 10 years ago or something. So what crime did Judge Jigoku commit?
Hold it!
What do you mean a criminal? Judge Jigoku is no criminal. Well, don't ask me. I don't know nothing about it. Oh, do you remember what Father told us? That Judge Jigoku did once appear in court here in Britain. It was related to the professor case, I'm sure. Oh, yeah, he did, didn't he? Yes, of course, you're right. Seishiro was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilt, so he took to the stand to testify. But he got a little carried away and actually managed to break the witness stand. He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire, for which he was charged. That's right, we called him based. I forgot that. It was a pitiful situation, yes. I had forgotten all about it. But I prosecuted that trial too, as it happens. You did? It was considered to be an adjunct to the professor proceedings, you see. But he was acquitted after being told to make reparation for the damage caused to the stand. And there you have it. Have what? Surely the accused hasn't forgotten his own rule. That there's no saving anyone who faces the Reaper in court, guilty or innocent alike. What? No. Are you suggesting that the reason Judge Jigoku was targeted for assassination? The man was sent back to Japan immediately after that trial. The Reaper had no time to do his work. But then, 10 years later, the mark returns to Britain once more. Perhaps now you start to see just how vindictive the Reaper is. Come on, that's absurd. You take someone's life for that? Isn't the whole premise of the Reaper absurd? Killing those who have been found innocent? Clearly the rules by which the man operates are beyond a sane person's comprehension. But... Oh. Right, I've had just about enough of this. Gina? All this nonsense about the boss planning to kill people is cobblers. Come on, Otto. Yes? Why ain't you saying nothing? Why aren't you yelling out objection or something? What? You've got to find a flaw. You do usually. Someone's lying here, no question. You gotta work out who it is. Please. For the boss. Sad, Gina, make me sad. That outburst was an insult to the court and to your own testimony. I might have known that a common pickpocket from the back slums couldn't make a detective. Ah, fuck off, Strongheart time. When this trial is over, you will forfeit your warrant card, Miss Lestrade. Is that clear? Oh no, she's getting kicked out. I've had it with a lot of you. It's lies every bleeding place you look in this world, innit? Well, I've had enough. Gina. So have I. After that little speech of Gina's, I've made up my mind. To do what, Mr. Naruhodo? There was one point in this cross-examination when something that was said just didn't sit right with me. One statement that seemed odd. Oh? Do you mean... I'm not going to let Gina's plea for help fall on deaf ears. What was said?
Hold it!
Press Gina on this. You gotta help. I want to thank you, Gina. Why is she crying? I mean, why is she crying? Oh, you weren't here, Pearl. She's just like really... Everyone's accusing Gregson of being the Reaper, and she's just like, please find it, like, please find a flaw in something's being said. You know, we have to acquit him. Yeah, like, no, she's not upset that he could be an assassin. She's upset that he's being accused of being one. Really, she wants his name cleared. Really, you help me find my resolve. Hey, what do you mean? Amongst everything we've heard during this cross-examination, there's one thing, brushing your teeth, that defies explanation. One inconsistency. What? An inconsistency. Also, Lord Strongheart told her to hand in her warrant badge, which I think means she's off Scotland Yard because she had an outburst. Lord Strongheart's a deck guy, I don't like him. More painkillers? Oh, nice. Tomb Raider games are cheap on Steam right now, I'm so tempted. Is that the new ones, Farrell? The reboot trilogy? If so, they're really good. I'm planning on replaying them on stream at some stage. Among many other games, I know. Yeah, they're very good. I don't really remember the plots of them that well. They're not as unique to me as Uncharted, but I always enjoyed them when I was playing them. And I look forward to playing them again, and maybe playing them on stream will help them settle in my mind. Rise of Tomb Raider is like $3.99. Jeez, that's really good. Really auto. I don't quite know what it means yet, but... Yes, there's an inconsistency in something that was said by... Oh shit, fuck. Oh shit. I didn't catch what was said. I need to look through the history. Fuck. How far back can we look? Did Lord Strongheart say some shit? I wonder. I don't know. I didn't really catch anyone who said something wrong. There's no saving anyone who faces the Reaper in court, guilty or innocent alike. I mean, the only people who spoke were Gina, Lord Strongheart, and Barak. What age do we think Shomes is for a tab, Jim? I think I looked over. I think I skimmed over it, but I didn't take a note of it. I think Sholmes is in his 30s, isn't he? I think he's like mid to early 30s. 32, 33, I think he is. Oh, Kazuma was also talking as well, so we could also say Kazuma. 34. Okay. We can also probably do Kazuma. Maybe Kazuma?
Take that!
Yeah, I think it was Kazuma said something. About you, Kazuma Asugi. Me? This is some attempted filibustering, Council. Prosecutor Asugi has given no testimony. What are you suggesting I said that was inconsistent? You let something slip that you shouldn't have. When I present the relevant piece of evidence, I imagine you'll realize what you've done. I fucking can't remember what he said. Very well then, Counsel, go ahead. What evidence reveals this alleged inconsistency in something Prosecutor Asugi has said? Fucking couldn't tell you. I wish the history would go back further. Like, it only goes back to, like, here. The only thing we can say from Kazuma, he says, like, the rules by which the man operates are beyond a sane person's comprehension. And then, like, that's where it cuts off. Economics exam tomorrow will be on PC, which gives you hope. Nice. Fuck, I can't remember what Kazuma said. I didn't notice him say anything weird. Bum, 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 bum. Fuck, what did he say? I can't go back far enough. Kazuma said he went back to he went back to Japan immediately after the case and then returned 10 years later or something like that.
Take that!
I don't know. I'm not sure I'm meant to be pressing. Nonsense. I was about to. You're your best friend and pack it up with that. I can't remember what he said. Have you been intending to point out, Mr. Arnold, it was when Kazuma said, "Ah, thank you, Sato. Fucking the goat." At the time, he was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France. Oh. Wait, what? Oh. Because at the time, he was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France. No, but he was on this... He was on a steamship, right, wasn't he? As shown by the passport found in the victim's metal trunk. What? How does he know about the trunk? Kazuma! I did not even catch that time. That went over my head. I was like, yeah, it was in the trunk, eh? Alright. Are we presenting the trunk? Take that! Yep. This is a trunk that belonged to Inspector Gregson. A metal construction, is it? It's certainly very heavy. What's this? A blood stain, and a relatively fresh one too. What? You mean that ain't grease from all the boss's fish and chips? Fresh blood on the inspector's trunk. That suggests that the victim was traveling with that luggage when he was killed. Aye, I saw that as well today. Good, huh? Will this one stick? Who the fuck knows, huh? That can't be. There was no mention of any trunk in Scotland Yard's report. Yes, there's a reason for that. Immediately after the inspector's body was discovered, one of the street peddlers made off with his trunk, hoping to sell it. But I found it. Me with me nose for trouble. Which means that nobody should have known anything about the trunk. Unless, of course, we're talking about somebody who was present when the victim was killed. Kazuma. And yet, during the cross-examination of the witness just now, you said this, Kazuma. Because at the time he was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France, as shown by the passport found in the victim's metal trunk. But the question is, how did you know about the inspector's trunk? Is Kazuma's sword chipped? There's a shard of metal in the trunk. Have we seen Kazuma's sword? Alright, if we open this up. Oh, there's a shard of metal. Could that be part of this? It's quite a weird shape. Like a blade or something, I'm thinking. We know the man went on a trip to France. Where else would he have put his passport?
Objection.
Oh no, it's caught out him. But you knew it was a metal trunk. It's when they turned into a villain. I mean, he's on like a revenge arc. Like he's out to like he wants to put Van Zieks in the ground for getting his brother killed. He's on a revenge. I thought he would kill Gregson, like, but you know he's not in a good path right now. He wants to kind of expose the truth around the whole incident and the Reaper and everything around the professor, but he believes Van Zieks is the reason his brother's dead, or his dad's dead, not his brother. Yeah, he believes that he puts all the blame on Barak. So. You knew it was a metal trunk. Answer me honestly, Kazuma. On 31st of October, where exactly were you? At the port of Dunkirk, on board the SS Grouse. Is that the answer you're looking for, Ryunosuke? Kazuma, what did you... I hadn't considered the possibility before, but if Kazuma was there on the ship, then it can only have been for one purpose. Oh no, Mr. Naruhodo, surely you don't think... Was he the assassin? Ha ha ha! Come on, Ryunosuke, you know the rules. The only thing that really talks in the courtroom is hard evidence. As I understand it, Inspector Gregson always took that case with him when he travelled. So, as it stands, you prove nothing. Kazuma. Are you challenging me to prove it, beyond all reasonable doubt? That you were there that day, in the same place as the Inspector. He was there, with Gregson. There's a clue that you've overlooked, a secret that trunk can tell us. I can't be sure at this point. There's also a slash up the side, right, of the trunk. I think it's a sword. Can't be sure at this point. I need to verify it. But I have a nasty feeling that I'm going to be right. The accusation being made is deeply disturbing, but nevertheless, we must test it. The defense will identify for the court where in the trunk this alleged clue is to be found. So it's either the slash... Where is the evidence that ties Prosecutor Asugi to Inspector Gregson? So it's either the slash or it's the shard of metal. Because the slash could be from anywhere, but if Kazuma's sword is broke and the bit of the sword is in the case, then you know. Yeah, it's like jammed into the case as well, so I think it might be this. Yeah. Yep. There's a small piece of metal lodged in the wall of the trunk here, like the tip of a blade. Hey, a blade? Kazuma, slung around your waist as ever today, is the esteemed blade Karuma. Of course it is. Won't you draw it, here in this courtroom, for all to see? Exercise caution, my learned friend. That man is the son of London's most notorious killer. Bailiff, watch Prosecutor Asugi like a hawk. That won't be necessary. Oh no. The tip is broken. Yep. If the fragment of metal from the trunk fits together with the end of the sword, the question of who was there with Inspector Gregson will be answered. Agreed, Kazuma Asugi. Expertly done, Rinosuke. That's a point to you, and well deserved. Do you mean to tell the court, Prosecutor Asugi? Yes, on 31st of October, I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk. I think he has one on his eye, on his right as well, but Karuma is the main one that he uses. 31st of October, I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk in order to carry out a mission. So the additional person authorized to travel was me. And the mission was the assassination of the Mark. What? You mean you're the killer whose name was omitted from the notebook? You were following the Reaper's orders to dispatch Judge Jigoku? Let me make one thing perfectly clear. I have killed no one. Explain. I accepted the assassination mission, yes, and I accompanied Gregson to Dunkirk. But I never had any intention of carrying out the plan. You were never going to do it. You can believe Kazuma-sama, I'm sure. After all, Judge Jigoku arrived safely in London the following day. On the 31st, I boarded a train from London with Inspector Gregson. We travelled to Dover, from where we crossed the channel to Dunkirk. Then we boarded the SS Grouse and made for the cabin deck, as indicated in the plan. You went to Judge Jigoku's cabin? Exactly. He wasn't there, though. We decided to wait, but you've already told us you had no intention of going through with it anyway. I didn't come to Great Britain to take anyone's life, so I left Gregson and disembarked the ship. I spent that night at a boarding house in the town, and returned to England the following morning. Boarding house in Dunkirk? My signature will be in the register book. It will be simple enough to verify. Then, what became of Jigoku? Gregson was no assassin, so the Mark was spared. I'm sure it's easy enough to imagine what happened after that. Gregson returned to England as well, having failed to complete the mission. He met with the Reaper in that room on Fresno Street to report the failure, causing the infuriated mastermind to pull the trigger and end his wretched agent's life. That's the real truth behind Inspector Gregson's murder.
Objection!
But if you did nothing as you claim, how did the tip of your sword come to be lodged in the inspector's trunk? I don't need to answer that. The victim was killed by a gunshot. A small fragment of a Japanese blade isn't relevant to the case. And accordingly, I choose to exercise my right to silence on that matter. Oh no. Be that as it may, the court will sequester the sword as evidence. As you wish, my lord. The great sword Karama. The illustrious blade passed down through generations of the Asugi clan. The prized sword's tip has a small piece missing. We must take immediate action now, to verify whether Seishiro Jigoku remains unharmed. What? Remains unharmed? I agree. That should be our first priority. It's recently come to my attention that he hasn't been seen since yesterday. That's right, he has been missing for a bit. How did you... When a foreign dignitary invited to Great Britain goes missing for 24 hours, it's only natural that the question of his safety should arise. You don't mean to say that you think Judge Jigoku may have been killed? The Reaper has more than one assassin at his disposal, and he has the power and influence to give orders from the inside of a prison cell. Isn't that right, Lord Van Zieks? If I were truly the Reaper, I'd be able to tell you. Order! Order in court! Order! We will take an emergency recess for 30 minutes. Now? Guests of the symposium have been told to maintain regular contact with the organizer's office. If the man can't be located within half an hour, we will have to assume the worst. Oh no, not Judge Jigoku. No one would want to kill a harmless Japanese man who'd only just arrived in the country. Except, that is, for the Reaper, wanting to finish off a mark that slipped through the net 10 years ago. I would have to agree. Mr. Naruhodo, for the defense's sake. My lord? I sincerely hope we are successful. If we're unable to confirm Mr. Jigoku's healthy existence in the next 30 minutes, you will face grave difficulties. Court is adjourned for 30 minutes. God, huh? Hopefully he's alright, huh? No, we didn't leave, we just stayed here. Kazuma-sama, the Reaper's assassin. I feel as though I'm in a nightmare. I can hardly believe it either, but on the other hand, Kazuma isn't in the habit of making up stories. I have such a terrible sense of foreboding. If something awful has happened to Judge Jigoku, then I feel as though things will only spiral further and further out of control. I felt it from the moment I stepped into this courthouse this morning. That strange sensation that we were careering towards a foregone conclusion. Well, in the worst case, we might only have 30 minutes left. Unfortunately, though, I don't think there's anything we can do but wait now. We're out of options. Actually, there may be one last hand we can play. Or rather, one last ear. Of course, the rabbit. The little Mr. Shumsall that Iris gave us. If for some reason you completely run out of options in the trial today, then just pull this little Hurley's ears as hard as you possibly can. Perhaps now is the time. What should I do? Pull Hurley's ears or not? Pull! Here goes then. I'm gonna do it. Good luck, Mr. Naruhodo. No looking back. Heave! Ow! That's a scream. Sound like Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, where are you? Here, my dear fellow, here. What's happening? It's a felt doll talking. Pull the ears again, Mr. Naruhodo, as hard as you can. Alright, I'll pull all my strength into it. Heave! Oh! Please, my dear fellows, you don't need to pull my ear off. Oh, it's like a... little intercom thing. Mr. Sholmes, where are you? Like, what do you got, the earpieces? Myself and my trusty partner. They're on the ship. are presently in the first-class cabin of the SS Grouse. The SS Grouse? She left Dover last night after the final pieces of cargo were loaded. We are currently docked at Dunkirk, but due to be underway again in half an hour. You taking a ship to France? Please, even with my athletic prowess, I would struggle to jump the Straits of Dover. After we left Baker Street last night, we hurried by cab to the station, by train to the port, in order to board this vessel in time. Is Professor Mikutaba there too, then? So, you mean you'd already worked it out? That the steamship was where everything really took place? Mr. Naruhodo, pray, what is my name? Sherlock Sholmes, world-famous great detective. Recited to perfection, well done. Your genius, Mr. Sholmes, that's the only word for it. Ow, 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 ow. Mr. Sato, gently with this genius's ear, please. Oh my, I'm ever so sorry. If I may, Sholmes. It's Professor Mikutaba, probably. Ah, there you are, Mikutaba. You may remember, in fact, that it was I who made the connection to the SS Grouse at Scotland Yard yesterday when we examined that notebook and I recalled my steamship ticket. But of course it was, my dear fellow. And not once did I controvert that fact, I merely had our court-bound companions utter my name. Yes, you did, didn't you? We've just entered a recess. The trial resumes in 30 minutes from now. And if we're unable to present any new leads then, I'm afraid to say... Do not fret, please. It's for precisely that purpose that my partner and I have made this journey. I have no doubt we shall welcome news for you within the half hour. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. That would be wonderful. Until later, then. Yes, you'll be hearing from us if you're not in touch first. Ow, 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 ow. I shan't be hearing anything if you keep tugging my ear in that mindless fashion. Whatever was the idea behind making a receiver operate in that way in the first place, Sholmes? What the deuce would I know? It's Iris's invention, not mine. The boys are off on a wee adventure like old times, eh? Whilst I know how much you enjoy being the hero of the hour, Sholmes, we have but half that now before the Grouse puts to sea again. If we don't conclude our investigations rapidly, we shall find ourselves in Naples before long. There are times, Mikutaba, when you make a surprising amount of sense. So, let us begin. The boys are going to have a scope, eh? Is that my boy Beef Stroganoff again, eh? First class cabin number 2. Yes, this is the one. I don't believe an investigation of the cabin is going to be plain sailing. That crewman standing in front of the door is an angry-looking fellow. Why are you loitering here? Who are you? My dear fellow, do you not recognize a world-famous great detective when you see one? The question really ought to be, who are you? Do you not recognize world-traveling great sailor, Chicken Stroganoff? Chicken Stroganoff? He's got Sholmes written on his arm as well. We had Beef Stroganoff on the first one, now we got Chicken Stroganoff. Great detective. Ha! I don't think so. Do you see that, Mikutaba? It would appear that this man is a devoted follower of mine. Goodness me, is that a tattoo? That says Sholmes. I must say, while such adoration is flattering naturally, it does leave me a little cold. What are you talking about? Leave, now! How distressing. My loyal devotee knows me only by name and not by appearance. And yet I already know a great deal about you, sir. You have a brother, I believe. Like yourself, he's a shipman. Currently traveling the world aboard a Russian steamship, in fact. How could you know this? Elementary, my dear Mikutaba. I'm sure it was. 3 days ago I was bound for London aboard this ship, you see. We're looking for one of my fellow passengers, a man by the name of Jigoku. There is no one with this name on board. We know that he purchased a ticket for passage. Chicken. Ah, you mean Eastern Man. He left ship 2 hours ago. Here at Dunkirk. He said something about emergency, I think. But, are you sure? So Seychelles realized that we're after him, has he? This cabin is the one behind you. Would you like to investigate, please? No. I have orders not to let even mouse inside. Mikotaba, be a good man and draw the sailor's attention away, would you? Make up some excuse so that he leaves the area. God. Doesn't great detectives see that even sailors have ears, both left and right? Curses! The plan is ruined. And you've only yourself to blame, I'm afraid, Sholmes. Forget it. Cabin door is locked. Even if I am not here, you cannot get inside. Mikotaba, I'm sure you haven't forgotten my special talent, have you? Opening any lock? Within a mere 5 seconds. So, if you'd be so kind as to afford me the requisite time, old friend, in your typically accommodating manner. How could I refuse such a typically unappealing request, old friend? I need to distract that burly sailor for 5 seconds, do I? Good man, so, the game is afoot. Set up the mouse trap, huh? Pull the fire alarm. What's the trap under? This must be a mouse trap, I think. Perhaps I could distract the crewman's attention with that somehow. Try it. Choo-choo! That sounds like Big Mouse in Trap. Choo-choo! I will bring bucket of water later and put out of misery. I like a sound of that. In any case, my dear fellow, that was quite unconvincing. Only Japanese mice make a chew sound. The fucking different dialected mice, yeah. Oh, really, Sholmes, and pray tell, what sound do Russian mice make? PP, naturally. Though also quite unconvincing, I readily admit. So, go ahead, Mikotaba, do a PP this time. No, thank you, I'm sure I can come up with an alternative solution. Pull the fire alarm. This would appear to be an alarm bell. All hell would break loose if that thing were to ring. The whole crew would know about it. Set it off. Here goes then. Pardon me in advance. Yo, what are you doing? If we were at sea, that would be a very bad problem. What's going on down there? Seaman Stroganoff. Report at once. God. Sorry, sir. Nothing to report. It was just stupid trick. No, not by me. By world famous. No. As I told you. Yes. Yes, I know, huh? Now, Sholmes, now. And done. Not even 5 seconds, eh? Oh, don't stand there gawping at my brilliance, Mikotaba. Here we go. Oh, yes. Go. Get in quick. Which Stroganoff are we going towards? Beef? Seaman. I'm checking them. 3rd November, SS Grouse, first class, cabin number 2. This place is a shithole. What the fuck's going on here? Why is he jamming the pipes? Good gracious. It would appear that the occupant of this cabin did indeed disembark rather hurriedly. Those clothes on the floor, they're Seishiro's without question. Well, it seems we're just a little too late. Yes, by about 2 hours. Still, whilst we're here, we should investigate thoroughly. There may well be 2 hours worth of clues to find in here. That burly crewman may return at any moment, Sholmes. Indeed he may. Which makes this all the more thrilling. The boys are back out of time. What's happening here, huh? There's a speaking tube here, look, though it's been stoppered with some cloth. So the voices of the crewmen on the bridge aren't an annoyance, I suppose. Or indeed so that the voices in this cabin aren't heard elsewhere. Could something have happened in here that was for no one else's ears, do you think? Either that, or it could be to prevent snakes from entering. Ah, yes. The snake case on the SS Buria. That's really become a favourite case of yours, hasn't it? The warning sign. These are the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. pets are also strictly forbidden. What pet did that one girl have? Was it the snake she had as well? It was, wasn't it? Additionally, there are severe punishments for stowing away in wardrobes and or travel cases. I feel the rules have increased since I last read them. Probably just my imagination, because Renosuke was hiding in the cupboard. What about the fact that they're not straight on the wall? Doesn't that strike you? You may be right. Probably just your imagination, though. A trifle. And you know what I always say, Mikotaba? There is nothing important about trifles. It's probably just my imagination, but I think that might be slightly off. That's a nice, refreshing looking glass of H2O there, huh? I think it's just ice cubes. Quite the exquisite glass, I might say. See here how it... Is something wrong, Sholmes? He suddenly trailed off. Ice, Mikotaba, ice! What opulence the first-class passengers enjoy. Chilled drinks. Pardon? Could it be that this steamship is equipped with an electrically refrigerated cold room, do you think? See, that was my thought, hey? That was my thought. Well, it is a luxury liner after all. They have enormous refrigerators for storing all sorts of lavish produce as well as ice. On our voyage from Japan, we enjoyed culinary delights from all over the world. Suddenly, Mikotaba, the sight of you is making my mouth water. Is he a delight from around the world? I haven't taken on the flavor of the food I ate, you know. According to the report I was given, Naruhodo was concealing himself in Asugi's wardrobe. Indeed he was, and it was of a similar size to this one. Ah, you must climb inside yourself, my dear fellow. What? Whatever for? It was the site of my first fateful meeting with Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, what a time. I remember first met Sholmes, eh? You can experience the moment for yourself now. Compete with my dramatic rhetoric. Come along now. In you go. This will only take a moment. Really, Sholmes, surely you can just tell me what you said. Well, I uttered some brilliant remark and opened the wardrobe to reveal the stowaway murderer. I think I'll just read about it in the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Anything in the bin? This is the waste paper basket, look, and there's still rubbish inside. Indeed, then let us pry. I've discovered recently I have a penchant for exploring the contents of others' waste paper baskets. I sincerely hope only for your work. Oh, can you find anything? Ah! Here we have a notice issued to passengers from 3 days ago. 3 days ago? The night before we arrived in London, then? When I was still aboard myself. Evacuation drill notice 31st October following the... Ah yes, it was an evacuation drill. The time. Good night, Noodle. See you on. Maybe some VOD for you for tomorrow, sure. Have a nice sleep. See you later. The evacuation drill, I remember now. For our safety and security, all first class passengers, I'm about to say. All first class passengers were constantly under the watchful eye of the crew. So it was a welcome relief to have some privacy for once. The evacuation drill itinerary. A notice about a practice evacuation to be carried out by the crew of the SS Grouse the night before the ship arrived in Dover. It was found in Judge Jigoku's cabin. Alright, let's have a look. Oh, I can't read it. Okay. This chest with a lock on it. It's a very sizable trunk indeed. Seishiro was partial to all things large. And a rather clumsy fellow if he failed to notice he'd left that behind. Perhaps he left it on purpose. It's lighter than you might think, but still a hindrance to a speedy escape. Can we get it open? Pity. It's locked, so we can't look inside. Surely 5 seconds from now the situation will be quite different, though. Sadly not. It has a 7-digit combination lock. And I'm not in a morose enough mood to work through all the combinations at present. Oh, something missing from the wall here. The wall is a slightly different color just here. Do you see? This is fun because this is the real life Holmes and Watson of this universe out together. So it's quite enjoyable. Indeed. What you have observed arises when a frame that has been hanging for some time is removed. Like, if they want to do more games at this time period, take it back a bit in time and do, like, Sholmes and Mikotaba as, like, Watson and Holmes. I think that'd be really good fun. And it doesn't impact any of your future stuff with, like, where they are in these games, you know, just have it when they're younger. Like, before the Professor case breaks out or anything like that. Indeed. What you've observed rise when a frame that has been hanging for some time is removed. Perhaps your friend is an art thief. Now there's a bold deduction worthy of a great detective, I'm sure. He may very well be the elusive thief who has been plaguing France's galleries of late. Sholmes and Mikotaba, day of fun, huh? Solving adventures, huh? I'm here for it. I think perhaps we should focus our attentions elsewhere, Sholmes, don't you? That outline on the wall. I feel as though I might have spotted something of a similar shape and size elsewhere. Oh shit, he's back. Uh-oh. You're still here. Ah, Abel Seaman Stroganoff. Hello again. I was beginning to think you'd never materialize. Hey, you are waiting for me. Of course, I was expecting you to burst in with a hearty Russian profanity far sooner. I was in trouble with Captain because of trick you played before. Purr, innocent chicken. It is all your fault. Ship is leaving port soon. Get off, now! Of course, we shall disembark presently, my dear fellow. But first, there is something that must be done. What are you talking about? Why, naturally, the debunking of your deceit and the bearing of the truth. Kakoi! I'm afraid I see through your lies. For one thing, Mr. Jigoku has not yet left this vessel at all. Ah! And for another, my dear Seaman Stroganoff, you know exactly where the man is, even as we speak, don't you? How can you? Good gracious, Sholmes, you mean you've worked it out? All of it? This is very much the Watson response. He's the one who asks Sholmes to explain things, so Sholmes seems smart. It's really been too long, hasn't it, old friend? 10 years, no less. Can you imagine, like, 20... your young, early 20s, Sholmes and Mikotaba? I think that'd be good fun. So, would you care to join me for a dance of my inimitable logic and reasoning? Because right now we don't know what the next Ace Attorney actually is. There were no word of a new one. There are 2 Ace Attorney games that actually haven't been. So there's. So you've met Miles Edgeworth, Farrell, I assume. So there are actually 2 Miles Edgeworth spin-off games that are like Miles Edgeworth Investigations. One of them is only on the original DS. It doesn't have like a HD port or anything like that. The other one is also on DS, but it's never been localized. So I would love to do a HD collection of those 2. I would love that. Nothing would please me more. What is this? Uh-oh, here we go. We have but minutes until the vessel puts to sea. No games now. Now boys, let's go! Time is of the essence. Mr. Stroganoff, allow me to remind you of your earlier claim. You told us that Jigoku left the ship some 2 hours ago. That is what I said. Sadly, that was a rather clumsy lie. You see, there is something in this room that quite clearly contradicts it. What? Ah, yes, of course. I see you've noted it too, Mikotaba. Then please, do take the lead. What in this cabin shows the impossibility of Jigoku having disembarked 2 hours ago? Let's see what the last 3 years have done to your observational skills then, Mikutaba. It's been 10 years since we last did this, Sholmes, not 3. Well, of course it has. Quite. Now, all the clues are here in this cabin for your eyes to see. But as I always say, you must not merely look, but observe. Observe, and the answers become clear. So, impress me. I think I can manage that. One of this cabin shows the impossibility of Jigoku having disembarked too early. I'm assuming the ice? The ice would have probably melted.
Take that!
Perhaps you should have cleared away that glass. How curious that the ice shouldn't have melted despite it being abandoned 2 hours ago. Ah! It would appear that the man was here in this very cabin until moments before our arrival. With this well-chilled glass in hand. Get your mind off the refreshments, Sholmes. One might even conclude that somebody informed him of our boarding. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Stroganoff? But why would Seishiro run from us? Before we consider that question, allow me to confirm one small matter. Would I be correct in saying that these first-class cabins on the SS Grouse are the same ones in which you and Mr. Jigoku were accommodated on your voyage from Japan? Ah, that's right, they are. I was in the cabin next door, and Seishiro was... yes. 50 days in this very cabin during our voyage. As I suspected. For, you see, there are traces in this cabin of a dark secret that Mr. Jigoku had to hide. What traces? I know nothing about this. Ah, this is news to you, is it, Mr. Stroganoff? Sholmes, what exactly are you getting at? As I said, there are traces in this cabin of some nefarious activity. Something that appears out of place, which I'm quite sure won't have escaped your notice. Nothing out of place in here. That's the key to this, Mikutaba. The remnants of the dark deed that took place in here are being masked by something quite incongruous. I must say, I didn't foresee ever doing this dance of deduction with you again, Mikutaba. No, quite, but life is full of unexpected twists and turns, as we all well know. Now then, let's see if I can't uncover the truth here. Yes, you have the floor, my dear fellow. The remnants of the dark deed that took place in here are being masked by something quite incongruous. How old's Mikutaba? 30s or 40s, I think. Once we have access back to Renosuke, we'll look. I think it's this, right?
Take that!
Nope. Fuck. Yep, wrong. Shit. Mikutaba, no games are my word, really not. Oops. Come, Sholmes, where's the fun in life with that little fooling around, hmm? Quite right you are. That was a close slate. Go shave. I better rethink that before I'm the fool here. Is it the mark on the wall? Like the thing missing? You must tilt your head to one side and listen carefully to the faint cries of the scene. Hear the evidence calling out for you to find it. Here I am, it cries. Well, your methods were never conventional, but you know I've always been willing to give them a try. Dear God, Mikutaba, open your eyes. It was the metaphorical listening that I was suggesting. Oh, this is Shulman speaking, not him. Ah. Is it the gap on the wall? The fact there's something missing here?
Take that!
Fuck. Damn. So the other thing is the bookcase, right? Was the other thing? Get back to it. Let me concentrate. Nefarious deeds that were going on. Huh? Oh shit, I can't save. The rules of passage. The large trunk, maybe? What's rather awkwardly hiding the traces of a crime? So this was obviously moved, right? And this was placed here. Is there a fucking Shawshank Redemption hole in this fucking wall, hey? Did this man Andy Dufresne himself into the next cabin?
Take that!
It's the rules of passage in this frame here. They're obviously out of place. The way they're hanging crooked on the wall, as if they were put there in a hurry. We know Mikotaba was in the one next door, right? So he knows it would be... well, he knows what layout's like, probably. Yes, as I'm sure you've already concluded. That frame was originally over here. The shape and size are a perfect match. You were right. When did the frame move? Hardly the most observant of crewmen, are you, Mr. Stroganoff? I would think your captain is quite justified in having his reservations about your reliability. I assumed that's what it was, but I was pointing at that instead. So. But the wording of the thing was like, what is hiding the issue? You know, like, oh, it's the other one is hiding it. Oh dear, that really seems such a nerve. So, Mikotaba, why don't you lift that frame off the wall? It's gonna be a fucking hole in the wall, isn't it? Oh, small hole. Okay. That looks like a bullet hole. Oh shit. Well, Gregson was shot, so. But who has been shooting walls? I see the projectile has been removed. Clearly, the careful occupant of this room has already disposed of it. Now then, Mr. Stroganoff. I have the distinct impression that you're attempting to shield said occupant. I don't know what you're talking about. Why would I try to protect Eastern Stranger? So we're talking about the same man, I see. Good. I'm sure we can get to the bottom of this in no time, aren't you? Because there's some very noteworthy evidence that explains the reason why you're lying for the man. The name on his arm, right? Yes, you've been told to keep up this pretense as clearly shown by... I really don't know how to approach this one, Sholmes. My dear Mikotaba, simply keep first principles in mind. Study your subject from every angle. And I'm quite sure that you'll see it. In fact, I put a wager on it. So I'm to glare at the fellow from all sides? Well, I can certainly do that. The name, the tattoo.
Take that!
Oh, fuck. I need to save, almost out of chances. Well, I jumped to conclusions, so I'll actually have a proper look now. Right, let me save here. That was on me. I was jumping to the obvious. The red herring. Alright, let's have a look at him properly. So a Russian crewman is aiding a Japanese man to evade capture by an English detective. Nationality needn't come into it. In this respect, at least all humans are the same. Ask yourself what can spur a man to do the bidding of another about whom he knows precious little. I was paid or something, right? There's probably money in his back pocket or something. There's only one thing in the whole world with such a repugnant, bottomless power. Let's not get carried away now, Sholmes. Well, there's money obviously right somewhere. Oh, yeah. Fuck, if I had just rotated it a little bit more. Money!
Take that!
It's almost too obvious for words. Quite. Universal language of the world. Money. And I'd wager... Biddy, yeah. And I'd wager that the Eastern fellow in question is Seishiro Jigoku, yes? Gah. So, I presume you realize what this means. There are clear signs that a crime has been committed in this cabin. And the way you're going, sir, you'll find yourself accused of being an accomplice. But... I believe you know, Mr. Stroganoff. You know where Mr. Jigoku is hiding at this precise moment in time. I love how lines in uniform are too small on Stroganoff's. I love how around Mikotaba, Shomes is like on the ball. You know, he's like getting everything right. Well, he's like helping, he's like encouraging Mikotaba to point them out, but he's like super confident and everything like that. You know, it's very fun. He's confident anyway, but he's confidently wrong a lot of the time. As always, Mikotaba, in matters of deduction, the furtive glance is your unfaltering ally. Yes, I think you're onto something there, Shomes. You found the chink in this burly fellow's armor. When you'd only follow the man's gaze to know where our prey is hiding. Is he in the fucking wardrobe or is he in the chest? The slightest flicker of the pupils and a minutely delayed blink. Nothing escapes my attention, even that which is barely perceptible. You could hardly call this barely perceptible, Shomes. The man's turned his entire head. It's not exactly what you describe as a furtive glance, is it? It's almost too obvious. We should let your tapping toes decide, my dear fellow. Is he in the chest? No way he could fit in there. Large chunk.
Take that!
Remember we had Enoch Drebber in the safe as well. You turned immediately to look at this large trunk, didn't you? Blah! The truth is, Seishiro Jigoku was unable to escape from the ship in time, and is at this very moment doing his best to stifle his breath inside this trunk. If he still has a breath to take, I fear he may be running dangerously low on air. I imagine he didn't count on us making a nuisance of ourselves for quite so long. I think it would be in everyone's best interest for us to open the trunk as quickly as possible. But how can we? Are you forgetting about this combination lock? We don't know the 7-digit code. The combination lock can't be opened from inside the trunk. Therefore, there must have been an arrangement for somebody to open it after our departure. S-H-O-L-M-E-S 7. Of course. In short, before Jigoku hid himself inside that trunk, he must have told somebody the 7-digit number for the lock. As I'm sure you can confirm, Mr. Stroganoff. 54013 965. That was upside down. 5. Which one goes this way? Wait, what? No, 6 is that way. What? Huh? Because you would write it like this, right? You looking at it. It's also kind of backwards. Probably a 6. I think it might be I think it's probably a 6 because the loop is on the bottom part facing him. Don't move a muscle, my good seaman. Oh. Now, Mikotaba, would you do the honors and open the trunk? How on earth do you expect me? It's a 7-digit number, remember. Quickly now, we have little time. Fuck. Show. Have you seen? There's no 6? What the fuck is that? That's the other one? 5 and 3 1045. Oh, it's a 2. It's a curly 2, right? 523 1045. 523 1045. 523 1045. 523 1045.
Take that!
Got it. Tick. It's open. You had to meddle, didn't you? Jigoku! There it is. Well, Eugen, you found me now. Seishiro. Get rid of that box, huh? I was really hoping beyond hope not to find you here, you know. But you're not entirely unsurprised, I take it. No, quite. I just wish it were some other way. Well, are you ever going to introduce me? Ah, your reputation precedes you, Mr. Sholmes. I've read stories of many of your exploits. Excuse my manners, Sholmes. This is Mr. Jigoku, my old friend and traveling companion. The devil is in the details, Mikotaba. I believe you meant to say, your old friend and traveling companion. You made the cowardly decision to flee the country without a word to anyone when things turned sour. I see my reputation precedes me as well. What an honor. Well, Seishiro, are you going to explain all this? You know it all by now, I imagine. What you didn't know, of course, is that 3 days ago, on the night before our arrival in Britain, an attempt was made on my life here on this very ship. But the Reaper of the Bailey? Yes, I've since heard. Because you were once prosecuted by the Reaper, weren't you? 10 years ago now, mind you. And I had no idea at the time what a dangerous individual he was. Anyway, when we arrived in London to find the symposium was postponed until goodness knows when, it became all too apparent to me that I might very well be targeted again. So you decided to flee the capital without saying a word to me about it? I'm afraid so, yes. Of course I realize now that I really ought to have confided in you. What did he do? He testified in a kind of side case to the professor case, where he was trying to talk about Genshin, the professor, Kazuma's dad. And he got really angry and he like broke the stand. But he was acquitted as long as he paid back the damages, basically. But Barak van Zieks was prosecuting that case, so he is considered a person who got away from the Reaper of the Bailey. So if you follow the curse, he is targeted. So yeah, I really ought to have confided in you. It's somewhat surprising, I must say. What is? Well, first-class cabins aboard luxury steamships are in very short supply. It's more than a little hard to believe that this one just happened to be available. So says the protagonist of some colourful short stories. Well, I don't care for your opinion. The cabin did just happen to be available, so I purchased a ticket, and here I am. I've just seen for myself the obvious remnants of that incident in this cabin. So you had already purchased your return ticket before we even docked in Dover, had you? To prevent anyone else taking this cabin and seeing the evidence, is that it? Eugen, I have nothing to say to you. Well, in a mere 5 minutes, this ship will set off on its onward voyage and not make port again until Italy. I'm afraid we must insist that you disembark with us at once. You have no jurisdiction over my movements. We have this, Seishiro. Take it. What is it? It's a subpoena from the Old Bailey. You're a man of the law. You know what the ramifications of ignoring a document like this from the British courts would be. You came prepared then, Eugen. Come on, let's go. One moment. What is it, chums? Inside Mr. Jigoku's trunk, I found this rather fascinating trinket. What is that? Seishiro. I can't help you, I'm afraid. Some small component from something. Looks like the handle of a cane or something. But what? I have no idea. I look on his face. I think he genuinely doesn't know. Well, let us pocket it as a small souvenir of our brief sojourn in France. Small component, then. Small machine part that Mr. Sholmes found in Judge Jigoku's cabin on the SS Grouse. Interesting. Well, young Naruhodo, I think we've done as much as we can, I'm afraid. The rest will be on the shoulders of you and your assistant. Now, can they get us that information before the court continues? Like, do we just magically have it, I guess? I don't know. 3rd of November, 12:10 p.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. Ding, ding, ding. I was waiting for the medal. Kazuma Asugi. I know you, and I know you wouldn't lie. But still, there's no doubt that you're holding something back. You know more than you're saying. During the past 30 minutes, while this court was adjourned, all possible efforts were expended. But sadly, Mr. Jigoku's whereabouts could not be ascertained. We must accept the unfortunate conclusion that the Reaper has already done the deed. There's no sense in wasting any more of the court's time. The prosecution calls for an immediate verdict.
Objection!
Jesus. Going right to it? No. The trial cannot end now. You're a Japanese man, Rinosuke. You should know when to lay down your sword. And you should know never to presume when the battle isn't won. The court has already been presented with all the evidence and heard all relevant testimony. And there can only be one conclusion. That the accused is guilty. All relevant testimony? Far from it. There's still a crucial witness, from whom the court has yet to hear a single word of testimony. In that case, call your witness to the stand at once, counsel. Yes, my lord. Tomorrow, if possible. The witness is already on his way, and scheduled to arrive tomorrow. Who on earth is this crucial witness? Seishiro Jigoku. The very man allegedly murdered by the Reaper. Judge Jigoku, you found him? Fucking got you, bitch. But the investigation of every policing resource in the capital suggests that Jigoku is already dead. How in the name of God did you find the man? He was located in France during the recess, at the port of Dunkirk. Thanks to one of Mr. Herlock Sholmes' famous deductions. Herlock Sholmes. Inspector Gregson almost certainly met with Mr. Jigoku on the night of his death, because along with Prosecutor Asugi, Gregson was on a mission to assassinate the man. Which meant that Seishiro Jigoku is the sole witness who can clarify exactly what happened aboard this SS Grice on the 31st of October. Let's go, get him on now. Well, it would appear that it's too soon to move to adjudication on this point. The prosecution concurs. The court must hear Mr. Jigoku's testimony. No judgment should be passed until all testimony has been considered. In that case, I hereby call the end of today's proceedings. Court will reconvene at the same hour tomorrow. No objections from either side. No, my lord. No objections, my lord. We live to fight another day. By the skin of our teeth. And so it continues, yeah. We edge ever closer to the end. Exciting times. What a perfect place to end it as well. Investigation part 1 as well. What locations are going to pick up here? Oh. The unexpected halt of proceedings sent a clamour around the courtroom. But outside the Bailey, where Londoners knew nothing of the secret trial within, it was a typical still night. Then, at little past 8 o'clock that evening, Mr. Sholmes and his partner returned to Baker Street. Let's go. 3rd November, 8:07 p.m, Sholmes' suite. And we'll make a new save at our new location. Right, hasty here. Well, we will continue with the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve next week. We should have both streams next week of this. They're unaffected next week. I'm missing one day next week, but it won't be a Monday or Tuesday, so we'll have 2 juicy days to continue the final adventure. Tomorrow we resume Super Mario Odyssey. I'm looking forward to a lot. Probably doing some of the stars or the moons in the Sand Kingdom. Yes. Thank you for watching as always. Yep. See you tomorrow for some Mario. But yeah, we also have a Nintendo Direct tomorrow as well. I don't know what time it's at. If it's before stream, we'll talk about it. If not, we'll talk about it the next day. See ya. Bye bye.